So using that caffeinated example I gave earlier, what it really would probably boil down to would be, someone that's uh, highly driven, highly self-motivated, doesn't require a lot of praise. With their praise is in getting the job done and being able to see, and telling that story. Those types of people are the people that work well in that environment. So we need to get in front of those folks, and that's how we get that hook. And the other thing is that it helps people who aren't that person to self-select out, right? And so then you're not wasting the time going through unqualified folks or people that aren't going to fit within your culture. So it's not always we're the employer of choice. It's here's who we are you a good fit? And help those people self-select in or out by telling them what I call the good, bad, and the uniquely you. Because we're not always going to be the greatest company for every person.
And you mentioned catering the job postings themselves. We have to also talk about social media, of course. So, how has the social media landscape changed what you do? Because you mentioned like the targeted ads on Facebook or on websites. Are you doing social focused ads as well?
That's actually a big part of our brand awareness strategy for a lot of clients, especially when you're trying to get in front of passive talent. And trying to drive that brand awareness so people that aren't actively looking for you, but they're still going to get served up that content, right? So I go look for something. It works the same way as like when I go shopping right online, and I looked at something, or I even thought something in my head, right?
I
And
hate
now
that.
suddenly the ads are following me around online. Same thing happens from a job seeker perspective, because it kind of starts to look at people who are like you start to get served up like content. And so you might not even be actively looking, but other people that are in their same field are. So you might get those same types of jobs, right? So, and so we do a lot of that across all of the major social channels. And we do also help with organic social content. That landscape has definitely changed over the last 15 years. And that's where it is really important to have a really strong partnership with marketing and layering in those employee advocacy type stories, because those still help with your company brand, right? Most people have heard about the legacy of Southwest, and Container Store, and now Costco, and companies that treat their employees well and they have good employee stories helps actually drive positive sentiment with the consumer and can actually impact sales. So if you can build those good internal relationships and that partnership, then it's actually a lot less effort for someone sitting in HR to have to build out a full entire content strategy, but to maybe partner with someone to provide snippets of content and help still tell their story. But otherwise, the bigger brands a lot of times are going to have their own employee focused channels. And me having been with an airline and a cell phone company, that most of those don't always have the best consumer reputation. Sometimes it's good for you to have a separate, social presence. And in those cases, you do still have to build out a content strategy and pillars and messaging, and, have all of those elements into how you're going to show up on, across social and across all of your platforms. But yes, all of that.
And I was going to kind of piggyback off of that. Just social media in general, a company's social media presence, whether they're trying to or not, I'm assuming does impact people applying for jobs or not, even though the person running the social team just could be Jada running the Instagram, right? But if a job seeker looks at that Instagram and doesn't love it, that may. So I feel like it's very fluid with it, right?
It is, and kind of that to my last point, right? When I was at American Airlines, one of my funny stories was like we opted to not build out our separate employer one, and we partnered with our internal social team, and so we really started doing these feel good employee stories. They have people that have been working there for 50 years.